Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to start with saying that this project is already known among the civil society, but we never have spoken about it publicly because, again, our communicational professionals of our center, as we called ourselves the Grey Cardinals, the one that are always behind the curtains. So I think that is going to be the very first time when we're going to be publicly talking about that for the broader audience. So please welcome the Whack the Rating project. I will start with the specific slides from our side just for you to understand what is this project about. Maybe some of the people are already aware about this project. Can you raise their hands if you have known about it? Okay, thank you. So if you are not aware of this project, this is the project that has been mentioned by Alexander Dubinsky very frequently in prime time as one of the most known television channels because we have been really bad for him, and that was the way how we have received our PR moment as well. So what do we do with the help of this project? We collect our analysts, our legal professionals, our lawyers and promoters. They are following the really important anti-corruption initiatives that take place in the parliament, and if there are some political powers that are preventing those initiatives from being improved, we include them into our database that is called Whack the Rating. If you will click on some of the members of Ukrainian parliament, then you will be able to see the list of these doubtful decisions and resolution this member of parliament has participated, and you can see the same link, the same list on parties. Why have we created this project, and in what way we combine our own goals and the goals of people? We have been based on this idea that we're working for the active audience that really want to influence the government just as well. We want to do that because the government is about the people who work with our taxes, and thus they should feel our impact. And we have been searching for the tools, the resolution that will help the people to do that in the easiest way possible, because we believe that even though people are really active, even though they will be really interested in the politics, but still don't have a lot of time, the easiest way, the easiest decision resolution for them to have is to do something with the help of a phone, when you're lying on your couch. So we give them this opportunity to do that with the help of our site and with the help of our project. We give them the opportunity to do that. So what do? First of all, we notify people in our Facebook, and we have a broader audience there. We have the audience of around 300,000 followers. And we have 200,000 people who like us constantly. We are providing them the opportunity that there has been a problem for the parliament. For example, the parliament has voted for some kind of initiative that really stops our anti-corruption movement and that really stops our anti-corruption future as a state. And we're asking the people to finance the targeted advertisement on this problem for the constituencies that have voted for this member of parliament, or for the audience who are the voters of this party that has been participating in this doubtful decision to be made. And as you can see in those numbers, we had more than 350 campaigns. We have covered more than 16 million of voters, and we have already collected for these campaigns for 1 million hryvnias in donations. And I just wanted to say that it's a very good level of engagement for our audience that has been very active all the time and very actively responding to our call-outs to provide some donations for those campaigns. What have we chosen as the tools for our work? First of all, we've chosen the Facebook. I'm not going to get into this data. I'm sure that you're aware that this is the most popular social media in Ukraine. So basically, everyone is now speaking about Instagram and TikTok, but we know that the voters are mostly adult people, grown-ups, and they are mostly now located in Facebook. So Facebook is the main platform for us today. Why it is very important for us still? Because the Facebooks give us the opportunity to provide the targeted advertisement. So basically, we clearly understand that our message is going to be seen by the voter of the very specific member of parliament. And what we're doing here, we are also taking our own content, our notification posts, asking people to donate and spreading the information for the constituencies that have voted for the specific members of parliament. What is very important to note down as well, what have we done already to make this real tool that would be really needed by the people, but not only by us? So we have analyzed, first of all, we've analyzed all of the analytics available for us. As far as you understand, we are the civil society organization. We don't have huge budgets to run the big scale social research and to have these focus groups constantly. So we were mostly oriented for what our platforms provide us with, the Facebook analytics and the MailChimp newsletters. Out of that, we had our important insights of what is the age of our audience, what is their gender, what is their geographical locations, where are they living, and when the time that they use internet, what are the devices that they use, mobile or browsers or web browsers. All of this data we use to build up our own hypothesis on our users and on our target audience. Based on this hypothesis, we have already built up our own communicational strategy just to know what kind of tone of voice we should use for these people and these audiences and how to find them. And thus, correspondingly, we have started working on the next issues. We have started working on improving the way of people to get to reach of our product. Right now, I would like to say that based on what we have said before, you might have already understood that we have the main audiences. We have the MPs, the ones that we're trying to influence. There are the people who were trying to get the information on those MPs, and the third audience that we're constantly working with is basically our donators that give us the money for those campaigns on those deputies that have made the doubtful decisions. We are communicating most with them. We have the most of the feedback for them, and we are constantly in communication with them on the projects. Just to simplify the way to donations at all of the stages, we're trying to make the fewer steps as possible for them. On Facebook, we are telling the story of some MP or the political party that have made something out of order. We give the full information on this draft law and will provide in the next link to the site when you can punish this MP by making a donation to advertise this his election. So we're already providing this information at all of the links. We're providing all of the links about more information about the draft laws that they have been voted for. We have these punish buttons that we will take them into the center of attention for them to be noticed the most. The person pushes and provides the donation starting from 10 hryvnias to punish the MP. It's being done through the most comfortable system for the Ukrainians, LitPay, where they can easily support the campaign of punishment. So when we are getting to the main stages, when we have the hypothesis and when we have this hypothesis working, then we should also know how we can improve this hypothesis. How do we do that? That is a quite widespread methodologies like focus groups or additional surveys, and quite banally reading out the comments in the social media. And I would like to really advise you, if you have any products, please read out the comments in social media, because the things that you can hear from people, they might be very obvious for you, but when you're listening to that, you can get it. Like, how could we never thought about that? Because when you're modeling a certain hypothesis, you cannot consider everything straight away. So I will give you an example about that. We had a focus group. We have been applying for the program that has given us the opportunity to have this focus group in place. We have shown the group of women our posts. And what we have heard from them, that they said that we do not really like the words zashkvar. They don't really like the words about that they don't, when they see this words, they don't want to read the message further on. And a lot of people, they have no idea who Dubinsky is, even though we have believed that he's like kind of a face of our campaign and no one has to know who that man is. And after having this focus group, we have tried to, again, amend our posts. When we have been targeting women, we have divided the campaign for men and women. For the women audience, we have given more explanation about the politics, about the system, about the people that can see in our pictures. Even though that men, when they have seen our pictures, they know that, okay, that's Dubinsky, I hate him, and that's a good advertisement, whatever, it works out for me, like, take my money. The same thing was a revelation for us when, for example, when we have used as an images the state institutions and they didn't work out for a lot of people, that people have this association that this is as if we are in this moment accusing our state institutions. Ukrainians like the state institution and the symbols of government, but they do like people who are standing behind those state institutions. And that's a very important moment that we have understood from our respondents' response and surveys as well. A lot of people actually rewriting very important comments to us about what we should fill in our messages for the constituencies. And that is why we have created a very important platform for us, that Telegram chat. So we have invited all of the people who donated money to us, and we have had the opportunity to create a very interesting community with them, because people are giving us not just the content that we can miss out. For example, we have been recommended to. It's a very hard question for us of how can we make sure that the voters from the oppositional platforms, that their party does not do whatever that's needed for their best. And we have been recommended with a video of Denis Kazansky, the known journalist, about how Boyko is destroying the factories where the people actually work. And what else? Communicating with our donators has also given us the opportunity to work with Patreon. We've known about this platform, but we never thought that it will be relevant for us. But basically, we have received a lot of feedback from our donators that it will be easier and much more easier for them to spend their money through Patreon. And that is actually goes us to the idea that we should open Patreon as well. So out of all that I've said before, what we wanted to outline, before you open any kind of product, before you launch any kind of product, when you evaluate your resources, you should collect all of the analytics that you might have through all of the available sources for you. And the most important thing for you to be painting this kind of portrait of your audience before that. That's a very famous communicational practice to use. It's better to give the name to this person, to imagine what city this person lives into, to imagine how their day goes, when they go home, when it is important for them to contact your product with. So when you already have your project launch and in action, you will see the improvement of your portrait, and you will have to amend it as well. And there is another moment here that sometimes we might be ignoring some advice of the average people because we would believe that we're more competent, that we have more experience about that. But basically, that's nothing that you should do. And you should not always consider everything and take everything into attention. So you should not take everything on the easy faith, because basically there are some really critically important things that will not fit you and will not fit your idea. And that's very important, especially for the CSOs. It's very important to build up loyalty, for the good and honest feedback, because you're going to have a lot of people who would really like to criticize you and who would like to take you down, but you will need to find this circle of the people that will not try to flatter you, but that will, in the same time, that will give you some good feedback and some honest feedback that you will be able to use in your work. And in order to do that, our recommendation would be to create a real cool personal platform, so you'll be able to communicate with them, and they will be communicating with you, not with a robot, with a person with a name, and you will be talking as equals. So thank you very much. Those are my conclusions. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Alina. Good people, do we have some questions? Yes, we have some questions. Okay, can we have the mic to Vinnitsa, to Maxim? Yes, please. Good day. My name is Maxim. I'm coming from Vinnitsa. There is another question, and I would like to ask you about some ethical moment. Who is the one who identifies what is bad and what is not? So this is about the manager of the project or the board of your organization, any kind of anti-corruptional community. And as a end up to this question, when we had this case, when you have collected money for this bug that has, but you have said altogether, but you have understood that it was not a fail, and maybe we can forgive that or no? I would like to answer the last question. No, it never happened. We have a big organization. We have a lot of lawyers and advocacy lawyers who follow all of this agenda in Ukraine, and they are following all of the anti-corruptional projects. And they have a lot of expertise, and they identify what is the fail and what is not the communication people. We can only deal with that communicational moments. We can only advise them how to communicate that properly. Okay, thank you, friends. Can we have more questions? Yes, we have questions online. Hello. Yes, we have the questions from our online participants from Ksenia Shumanska. Alina, how do you improve the quality of your work for the people whose work you analyze? For example, for the MPs, how do you explain that your work is valuable? I think that basically that they see that on their own, because they see that with the coverage how the posts are, what the response the posters have, and I've forgotten to tell that, but basically, how do we see that? How do we see that we're being seen by the MPs? Because they respond with their posts on their Facebook pages. Of course, they're being very angry sometimes, but part of the MPs that come into the social media to Vitaly Shabunin, and they're also expressing their own points of view on the specific draft law. But I would like to tell you that there are some MPs who are really sincerely or remorseful about what they have done, because they haven't analyzed this draft law in the right way, and they have just listened to somebody else's opinions or whatever. So there is an influence on that, and we have seen that in their response as well. Okay, so we will have the last question, please. Maybe I haven't been very attentive, but what is the term of your project? Where you work? So just for me to understand, because you work on raising the awareness of the voters, as far as I understand. So do you have the opportunities to track whether the awareness has changed from elections to elections? So how can you measure the results? Yes, this is a very hard thing for us to measure, because we need to have the specialized research to do that, and we have to ask people directly of what has influenced your choice. But our project was going to last for 3 years already, and we have covered the previous elections, and we have seen that 2/3 of those people who we have made campaigns about have not been included into this assembly of the parliament. And what is another moment was not about the quantity, but a maybe more subjective measurement, because in our house we have been reading frequently the people from the regions. They say, like, I have never seen a thing about this for this MP. Thank you very much for informing us about that. And on this level, we see that our work is of the value. It really works. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Alina, for the greatest presentation. Thank you.